And welcome home, everyone. Welcome home. Welcome in to our summer retreat. Is it summer now? Does this count as summer?
I don't think
No.
so.
June 20th or something.
Damn it.
I mean,
Okay.
it's hot enough for it.
All right. It feels
Oh,
like
it's
summer.
not there yet. It's
It's
not that
enough
hot
for it.
yet.
But I mean, we're getting there.
Sure.
Is there such
We're
thing?
getting
Is there such a thing as like weather snobbery? Because I
Sure.
feel like certain
Yes.
people have that about heat. It's like, oh, you think this? Like I was. This is now already a tangent, but I was having this discussion with someone who I didn't know like that well last week.
Oh no.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, I was down at a golf tournament once in Riverside," and I was like, "Oh, it must have been really hot." And they immediately responded, "Oh well, I'm from Arizona," as if like that should say everything, and I'm an idiot for even like. And I was like, "Okay."
I feel like that's definitely a thing with people from Arizona, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
There, I know one other Arizona person who does the same thing, and it's like, cool, I get it. You live in a molten hellscape. Like that's
In the
not my
desert.
fault. I did not choose that for you. Don't put that on me.
You should put that
Anyway.
evil on it.
Anyway, welcome to Crash the Draft Special Edition. We're joined by Patrick and Connor. This is going to be a lot of fun. Special flavor though today. Special flavor as promised for the 5 people who saw it in Discord and in our group chat. We're going to talk a little bit about non-draft things to start. Do some NHL free agency trade targets because I think people are getting into a little bit of that off-season kind of almost like what is it, armchair GM vibe on Twitter,
Yeah.
where it's like there's debates. So I thought it'd be a good place to start.
You
We'll
want to
see how
start a
it goes.
discourse?
Yeah, let's start a discourse. Let's start a narrative. Or no, what's that other one? Let's start a conversation. No, a dialogue.
A dialogue.
Oh,
Yes.
that's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Damn it. I screwed
Yes.
that up.
Patrick got you there.
Patrick got
Well,
me
hold
good.
on, hold on. You guys are missing the huge Ducks news from today.
There was huge Ducks news.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the joke.
Yeah, you guys missed it.
I did.
Artyom Galimov is staying in the KHL.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right. Yeah.
The savior.
People really got duped into thinking he was coming based off of a report that said he might come.
wasn't it Elliot Friedman that said? I thought Fried said they're working on signing him. Right? It was close.
Patrick would know best since you probably wrote up a couple articles. So what was
did.
the scoop? What was
I
the
mean, the
what,
scoop
what are the
was-
facts?
It was just that Elliot said that there was interest from the Ducks, and that's it. And maybe there was.
That means he's coming, right?
I
Yeah,
hope
that
they
obviously
drafted
means
him. I
it's
hope
coming.
there's some interest.
Well, he's what is he like 25 now?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's
can-
staying over there long term.
He can rent a vehicle in all 50 states and not
Man,
yet
that was
health insurance.
5 years
Um,
ago.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Time is flying. Okay, well that's interesting. I did want to ask any of you. There was the World Championship over the last week. I don't know if any of you caught any of it, but I'm sure there were some Ducks tidbits to pick at in that.
I didn't watch much of it just because it was on NHL Network, and I don't have access to NHL Network.
I saw Carlson scored a couple goals, so
Carlson was 10 points in 10 games, so
ooh,
that's pretty good.
that's pretty good. How many of those were against like France and Norway? And that's my
can't
only kind of trouble with those tournaments is people will tweet out the stats, and it's not an easy tournament, but there are games that are definitely easy for some of these guys, and so.
Oh,
I
I
say
did
that-
watch. I did watch Solberg play quite a bit because Norway games were on ESPN Plus, so
That's
he looked
right.
pretty good. Yeah, he looked
Yeah,
good.
he did. He really did.
Well, didn't he have a hat trick in one game?
He had a
Yeah.
hat trick against USA that
That's
sent
pretty
the game
good.
to overtime.
Yeah.
And kept Norway from relegation. So good for Steen.
Does that what you're saying is he's making the team next year?
Yes, that's exactly what that means.
One of,
You
one
heard
of
it
his
here
goals in
first.
that hat trick game. One of his goals in that hat trick game I really liked. He kind of just crashed a back door, and someone was able
Nice.
to find him on the other side. But it was it was a really good activation off the blue line. I thought. But
Minchikov-esque.
yeah, Mitchell, that's
Yeah, I didn't get to watch him, but I did see those games were on ESPN Plus, so I may have to look back. He may be ahead of schedule, and he may be already a really good AHLer. But I have a hard time seeing how he makes the team next season.
Agreed.
There's just so many bodies ahead of him, and it would take like a shift in the Ducks' overall approach to their roster to get a spot for him because Trouba and Gudis aren't going anywhere as of today's recording. Then you have all the lefties with Lacombe, Zellweger, and Minchikov. Then you throw on Hellison. You assume Tristan Luneau is going to come up, and it's like, who is coming out of that mix? I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he makes it, it would be a great story. I think he's probably going to spend most of the season in the AHL.
By the way, Felix, I was able to go on Elite Prospects and look up the World Championships for Carlson and who he scored against.
Okay, let's hear it.
So he had a goal against Slovakia, a goal against Finland, 2 assists against Latvia, no points versus Slovenia.
Oh.
Against France, 1 assist. Canada, 1 assist. The Czechs, 2 goals. Nothing against the U.S. in the semis. And 2 assists against Denmark in the 3rd place game.
All right, that's not bad.
Pretty good. I mean, he's had a point in almost every game. Is what that sounds like? Mm-hmm. Except like maybe 1 or 2. Yeah, that's good. I mean, Denmark, Canada couldn't solve Denmark, so I'll give him some points for that. Rough year for Hockey Canada. Because Hockey Canada doesn't really get credit for the 4 nations. So that was the NHL tournament. Okay. Well, why don't we start doing some free agent kind of breakdowns here? Because I think there's been a lot of talk about which free agents the Ducks should target, who makes sense. Because there's been comments that we've gotten from ownership, from the GM, about how this is a summer where they're going to target people, where there's going to be a blank check, essentially. So why don't we just start at the top? Like, let's just kind of work our way down the list. I am going, if you guys want to follow along, I have a cap wages UFA list open on my screen, and you can sort by projected cap hit. So I'm doing that. Mitch Marner, projected cap hit this summer, 7 by 12.9. And that seems about right because Rantanen got 12, and so now he's probably going to get a little bit more than that. I'll start with Jake, since, Jake, this is probably going to be more of a good segment for you until we get to the draft. Where are you at on Marner, the contract, how much you're willing to overpay, just kind of all of it?
I'd be willing to overpay a lot.
Okay.
Like, this is a situation with Mitch Marner where who's the last talent that the Ducks would have had that was an equivalent of a Mitch Marner? Because I don't think Getzlaf or Perry were at that level necessarily. Now, granted, the game was a bit more slow, not as offensive when they played, but Marner's had, I'll look up in a second,
well, in terms of production, it's like Solani, basically.
Solani or Korea, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's how long it's been since they've probably had someone that's as productive as Mitch Marner. And for all of the flack that he gets, he's also a really good defensive player, good on the penalty kill, great on the power play. He's kind of, in some ways, a perfect hockey player. I've put it this way, I think, for me, I'll say this.
There you go.
That's going to upset some people.
This isn't a Toronto podcast.
Yeah. I'll add that for me. But I think a good comparison, I think, for Ducks fans out there that maybe don't watch a lot of Toronto, that kind of feed into the narratives, hear what a lot of people say and that type of stuff. A player I kind of compare him to in my own head is Troy Terry, but if he was a superstar. And there's a bit of that similar type of game that kind of, maybe he's not going to be physically overpowering, but he's that good. And those types of guys don't fall off of trees every day. I mean, like I said, it's been probably since Korea or Solana that they've had him. And so I would overpay a lot. I would get up into probably the $15 million range, $16 million maybe even.
16.
That may be crazy for some people, but like, you do what you can to get this guy on this team. And yes, the last couple of years of that deal may not be great, but he's still probably going to like not decline horribly. The cap is rising, and significantly so, for the next however many years. Yes, I mean, what did you say? Projected at 13 million?
12.9.
12.9, so 13. What's an extra 2 to 3 million a year when the cap is going up $10 million basically each of the next 2 years?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, this is the time to make this stance and really go for it. And the percentage of cap would, I think, be at $14 million. I looked at one point, but I don't have it off the top of my head. But it would be similar to like a Matthews deal and things like that. And going back, I think it would be similar to where I think Tavares had signed when he signed with the Leafs. And some people may look at that and say, well, the Leafs were really struggling with all 4 of those guys at their cap hit. I think what really hit the Leafs during this time period wasn't the Tavares deal, but it was the fact that they signed the Tavares deal and then there was a flat cap after that. And so if you sign this and if the cap continues to go up, I think you are in a good spot. I think there is a risk in this. The risks are Marner declines outside of the Toronto environment, that the cap doesn't continue to rise, and this forces you to lose some of your own players. But at the end of the day, are any of the Ducks prospects, as much as you love them, maybe going to become Marner, a Marner-esque talent? Maybe Carlson? Would he be the only one, probably?
Yeah, that would be like the 100th percentile outcome for all these guys. Like that's the best case.
So if you end up losing a McTavish, if you end up losing a Minchikov or like something like that, where you have to move them away from a cap casualty perspective, you're still better by having Marner on your team.
Yeah. Well, before I chime in, why don't we hear from Patrick? Why don't you? What are your thoughts on this Marner situation?
Yeah, I'm with Jake. You pay whatever it takes because I think I forget where I post this, but you don't risk signing a boat because you have 8 mystery boxes, right? like Jake was saying, maybe Carlson turns into an equivalent player to Marner, and the playoff success is over talked about. I guess I don't know. It is what it is, but
playoff lack of success, yeah.
I guess,
but it's more of a team failure, yeah.
Yes.
And then him.
But you got to get there first, and he helps you get there. And he is a perfect fit, kills penalties. He's a Selke candidate a couple of years ago. Players like this don't hit the market, and I'd be willing to pay whatever it took to get him. And I honestly, I pose this too: is I wonder what his rights would cost, because how much does he value the extra year? Does the team value the extra year? And then you can maybe get that AAV down a little bit to get the same amount of money.
Can he sign to the 8 years if they trade for his rights? I think it's something where he has to be.
He has to do a sign and trade. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
He can sign with Toronto, and then they can trade him.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know what that would be worth, because I don't know if we have many comparables to go off of a sign and trade scenario.
Wasn't
the only one I found? The only one I found was Severson got traded for he signed and then got traded for a third.
Okay.
So
I mean, Kachuk I think was a sign and trade, but very different situation.
Yeah.
It might be worth like a second or a first if Damon Severson got a third. I'm just spitballing here. Let me ask you a question then, Patrick. Would you give up the Ducks first next year for the sign and trade?
Protected, yeah.
Okay, so you'd have
top
to
10 protected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, again, you can never. What if he gets injured? What if so many people get injured? It's one of those things. You just have to kind of protect your asset there.
Yeah. What's the least amount of protection you'd be okay with in that trade?
Top 5, I guess.
Top 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you might have to whittle that down to like 3, but I don't know. I don't know what that would, because again, the lack of comparables. Connor, are you on the Marner boat, or are you mystery boxing it?
I'm in the same boat, for lack of a better term.
Let's go.
As Jake and Patrick, yeah. I mean, like both of them said, you do what you can to get Mitch Marner in, and like a lot of people are saying, it's like, oh well, when we start contending in a couple of years, we're gonna have to start paying all these kids, and it's like same thing that Patrick said. Well, to contend, you have to get there, and he certainly helps you get there, and then we'll help you succeed. And I know Toronto fans aren't gonna might not like that one, but we'll help you succeed when you do get there as well. And then you just you figure out all the rest later. And like Jake said, with the cap going up $10 million a year, it's the perfect opportunity to do something like this.
Yeah, I think
you throw all your chips in.
He really kind of feels like your free swing, because you add that major talent piece, and then he's gonna be. I mean, he's gonna be better surrounded on the Ducks than he was on the Leafs. I think. Like, yes, the Ducks don't have an Austin Matthews or a Nylander, but they're gonna have the equivalent talent overall, and then you add in the talent on the back end, and just kind of the relative age curve, and like I think he'll be better, and he also won't have to be as relied upon, which maybe you don't want to hear for a guy who might be getting 14 mil from a team, but I think that's just kind of the reality. So yeah, I think that we're all in agreement. Marner, is it fair to say Marner is kind of like option A for this off season?
Yep.
Like he's the number one target. Okay.
Yeah.
Jake, do you know what the cap is projected to rise to in 2026? Oh, it's 104. It's 104. Oh, cool.
And then I think it's going to be 113.5 after that.
Okay, got it.
Okay. I have the same page up. 13.5 is correct.
Yeah.
113.5.
Yeah.
Up next on the projected contract length here, or projected contract overall, number 2 on the list is not who I would have expected, but Brock Besser, 6 years, 8.4 mil AAV. His stats, just like his raw counting stats, I think they look good to a lot of people. He had 25 goals this year. I think did he have 40 last year? Am I going crazy? He had 70 points last year. Yeah, he had 40 goals last year. Kind of a consistent high 20s, 20-ish goal range player, known for a heavy shot. 6 times 8.4 though for a 28-year-old. I mean, I guess that's the same age as Marner. I'll start off here with Besser. I don't know if Brock Besser is very good at all. Just like, this might be a hot take, and I will fully admit I have not watched like a ton of him play, but just looking at all his stats, the thing with stats is that I think stats in hockey, especially the advanced stats, can be misleading in smaller samples, but in even medium samples. But with Besser, we have years of numbers now, and it's like at a certain point, that kind of might be who he is. And what those numbers show is that he's not great defensively. He's kind of up and down in terms of driving offense. He just doesn't have a large impact at 5-on-5. And so his actual impact is really limited to just his goal scoring. It's unclear what really else he does. If you look at his tracking data, he doesn't really generate like zone entries. He's kind of like not a passenger, but he's like a complementary player. He's looking to get open for other people. He's not the most involved defensively. Me personally, and again, this is just very stats-driven take. I think this is the guy that I would just not sign. Like, if that's the number, I would just run, because I just don't think he's going to be worth it. Like, for me, yes, the goals are nice, but I would like someone who's going to do a lot more for the team than just, score if he's in the right situation. Jake, where are you at on Besser?
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. I would likely pass on him. I think at the right cap hit, it'd be fine for him, but I think we're also getting to the point where the Ducks as a roster are kind of set with the number of guys that are there, and it's trying to figure out, all right, where do you want to fill this guy in? And you kind of said this in a text message. I don't know if it was to me or if it was to this group. It may have been both. But that Brock Besser is kind of just like a Frank Vetrano in some ways, just from a stats profile perspective.
I was hesitating whether I was going to say that or not, but
well, I'm outing you on it, so there it is. But I think that's fair that like the term empty calorie gets thrown around a little bit, but it seems like they are a bit of empty calorie goals from him where he gives it back up. There might not be the underlying play. Really has to rely on others to get him the puck in those spots. Now, granted, when he gets it, he can shoot and score, and it shows with power play and things like that where he has a bit more time and space. Doesn't have to create the offensive looks necessarily, but I just don't think that's necessarily what the Ducks need in this current incarnation. Like, Cutter Gauthier is that, but better.
Connor, what do you think about Besser? Are we missing something here? Are we looking too much at spreadsheets?
No, I mean not to play just the same thing for two guys back in a row, but Yeah, he just doesn't excite me very much for this team. I don't think the type of framework of the player he is. I don't know. I don't really see a fit here with this roster. Like,
Yeah.
like Jake said, of course, if that number is significantly lower, I wouldn't be too mad at it. But kind of going back to what you said, Felix, with what he's projected right now, that's what it's going to be. I think there are a lot more exciting options and guys that just can contribute in more ways.
I will say his numbers on the power play are quite good. And so that is an area of weakness for the Ducks, but like that's a lot to pay for a power play specialist. I have seen that experiment play out in Montreal with Patrick Laine, and I don't recommend it to the Ducks. Patrick, are we out to lunch on Besser, or where are you out on him?
So Verbeek has said that the Ducks' biggest need is goal scoring. And from a certain standpoint, that's true. Brock Besser does one thing very well, and it's score goals, and that is important. However, there's no B game, and he's a streaky player. So, if he's not clicking, if something's off, if he's just getting, I don't know, harassed one game or whatever, he doesn't have a game to fall back on. He's not a crash the net guy. He's not a forechecker. He's not a defensive stalwart. He scores goals, and I don't know. That is the hardest thing to do in the game, they say, and that's what the checks are for. But if that's the one missing link, then I still don't know if that's worth it, just because of how streaky he is, and like I said, like he doesn't have a B game, so I think I'm out as well, unfortunately. Because I do like Brock Besser, and he's a good player, and that kind of instant offense is necessary at times, but he's so reliant on teammates that it's not like he's creating offense for himself.
This is starting to feel like an episode of Shark Tank. It's like for that reason, I'm out.
Besser kind of feels like a Kings player.
They would probably benefit more from him than the
feels
Ducks
like a Kings
would.
signing.
Just like I hate this term, but the one-shot scorer.
I feel like in some ways he would go to Carolina and somehow like rehab his game.
I could see that. That's kind of
Jake, why don't you tee up Nikolai Ehlers here? He's next up on this list.
I'll let Connor go first, actually, because Connor has not gone, and I think he's chomping.
Started.
I'll just lay out the land here then. So Nikolai Ehlers projected at 6 by 8.1. This year he had 63 points in 69 games. He's a speedy he's kind of like an analytical darling, great at zone entries, offense, kind of all that stuff that we really like to see. But the point production has never really, he's been kind of hovering around 60 points, and that's really been it. And yet he's still projected for a pretty good payday. So, Connor, do you like Nikolai Ehlers? Are you willing to pay $8 million for a 60-point player? Kind of where are you out on that?
I do like Nick Ehlers a lot. I think I would probably comfortably say he's probably my option B in terms of a forward the Ducks could go get. As we talked about, Marner, I think by a significant margin, probably a couple football fields, option A. But no, I've thought about where Ehlers can maybe fit in this team, and I've kind of, I've been picturing him, on Trevor Zegras' left wing with, Troy Terry on the right. I think that's a really good fit right there. Even if he's up with Carlson or, playing with Seneca or like whoever with McTavish, whatever Quenneville ends up wanting to do with it. But I think, like you said, Felix, just the transition game. I think what I think we know about the way Quenneville likes to play, likes to structure his team. I think he'd be a great fit. And I thought he'd be a great fit before all the Quenneville stuff happened. But I know we were kind of going back and forth a little bit. Patrick kind of dove into some of those Panthers teams a couple of years ago that he was coaching, and based off of hearing about that, I think Ehlers would be a great fit. So I'm in on Ehlers.
Yeah, it's interesting because Evolving Hockey has him projected at 7 years and 8.8, so a bigger number. Patrick, I'm curious for your take on Ehlers. What do you see in him?
So I love Ehlers, the player. I don't think he was, put in a position to succeed necessarily on a regular basis in Winnipeg. He's constantly on the third line. He didn't get top power play minutes a lot. But I love the player. The skill is outrageous, speedy, like you said. He's got a lot of things you like. I question the utilization of his teammate or his line mates. Just on the ice. I think he's like a one-man show at times. With on the Ducks, I'm at the point, I think, just looking at their top 9, where if it's not Marner, I would honestly prioritize a center, and specifically a two-way center, because if your top 9 is running any combination of Strome, Carlson, Zegras, McTavish, who are you going to throw out there against a McKinnon or Matthews? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to shut that guy down or neutralize him in any way? And yes, the best defense is good offense, but at some point, you're going to need a guy to PK and also provide some offense. So I love Ehlers, and I'm never going to say no to Nick Ehlers. And that's I think, what was the projection? It's a 6 by 8.
Yeah, 6 by 8, 7 by 8. Yeah,
I would sign that, and be very, very happy if that was the big get. I just think there's needs elsewhere, but again, I'm not going to say no to Nick Ehlers because he's awesome to watch and a very fun player.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think you could probably do Nick Ehlers and find a two-way center though. Like I think from a cap, I think from a cap perspective that would be easily doable. Roster wise, haven't really thought that through for the trickle down effect of what that does to the roster overall. But like Nick Ehlers at $8 million is not going to break the bank with where the cap's going. And if we were fine with the Ducks signing Marner to 14-15, you have enough money there to sign a pretty solid two-way center there. So I think that probably if you don't do Marner, probably Ehlers plus a two-way center would probably be the way to go.
All I'm hearing is no faith in Isaac Lundestrom, but that's
okay. Are we sure he's back?
Totally kidding. If he's back and he's still the shutdown center, then playoffs ain't happening. Sorry, Isaac.
But yeah, I'm also fully in on Nick Ehlers. I wanted to give Connor and Patrick a chance to go before me this time, but he's just a really, really good player. Electric. I mean, yes, you mentioned 60 points. The only downside, I think, to his game is just he has been a little injury prone over the course of his career. And that's where kind of the 60-point range, like this year, 63 points, but only played in 69 games, like close to point per game. And in years past, kind of been in that 60 game range at various points in time. So that's probably the only slight concern for me, but it's not a huge concern. And he's someone that has been productive also. So I think Patrick hit the nail on the head there that usage-wise in Winnipeg probably hasn't been the best. He'll probably be put in much more high-priority roles with the Ducks if he comes to the Ducks, and he's going to have some interesting talent to work with. The Jets are, I think, an interesting team where, while I think they've been really good the last couple of seasons, they haven't really had high-end offensive talent to go with him. And, I'm trying to think through...
Well, they also just haven't... They've also just chosen not to put him with the talent that they do.
Agreed, but even outside of that, they just haven't had running mates. Whereas I think with the Ducks, he's going to start to have that. You put him with a Carlson, for instance. That's a different level of talent than he's been with.
Yeah, his it's so weird because I'm honestly kind of surprised at how big his contract number is, just because the point production is just not. It doesn't really pop off the page, but like Patrick kind of brought up, his ice time, 1548 this year, 1552 the year before, 1539 the year prior to that. What's 15 minutes? Is that third line? It's kind of second, third line ish minutes. So if you were to do the points per 60, I bet he'd look a lot better than just the raw point totals. Honestly, I think Ehlers might be the best value of the guys that we've talked about, just because as good as Marner is, that's still a big number to kind of live up to. Whereas I think Ehlers can kind of be that value pick that we like to talk about in drafts, where he might not be as good of a player, but for the price you're paying, he might outperform that. So, he doesn't like, I think someone mentioned, but like he doesn't have that two-way game necessarily that Marner does, where he's just going to elevate everyone, but he still adds that needed offense for this team. So, okay, let's do like just a few more here because I don't want to go too long on this since we are a draft show. This is a controversial one, and no, it's not who you're thinking about. It's not you know who. It is John Tavares. So we've got a big split here in the projections. So on Cap Wages, which is just AFP analytics, he's projected at 3 by 7.9, and then on Evolving, that's not a huge split actually, 4 by 7.8. So for a 34-year-old whose best days are surely behind him with a lot of miles, Connor, are you in? Are you in on number 91? He'd have to change his number, but
he would have to change his number. And he couldn't be 19 either. See, I don't know. I've thought about Tavares a little bit, and there's a part of me where, I mean, I don't know if I'm doing it for 3 by 8, but I mean, if they could do like a 2 by 6 or
would you do 8 mil if it's 2 years?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I could come around to that. I think I could come around to that. I think. Yeah, like this.
It's tricky.
It's tough. I mean,
his game definitely. It's weird because I don't know what his points were this year, but I feel like they were probably good. Let's see. Yeah, he had 74 points this year. I was basically point per game, but
he's very good on the power play.
His underlying numbers at 5-on-5 took a huge dip, which is weird because they were great the year before. Jake, I feel like this is exactly the kind of guy you wouldn't want to sign.
If it was a 2-year deal, 3's pushing it. I don't think his two-way game is that great, but he does fit kind of what Patrick was saying for what you want. Someone lower in the lineup. He is very good on the power play. I think that he can be a good mentor. He's exactly what the Ducks have tried to sign with an Alex Killorn.
Ryan Strome.
Ryan Strome's more so isn't the old veteran necessarily, but now he's becoming that. But that's exactly what I think the Ducks are trying to get. And Tavares, while his game has fallen off a bit defensively, I think if you put him a bit lower in the lineup, you can get him out there for very specific situations to win a face-off, things like that, when it's end of game and you need to have that happen. And you put him out on the power play and let him be a mentor to the young guys on the team. To me, he is what people think Ryan Strome should be, basically, for this team.
Man, what the hell do people think about Ryan Strome?
No, that's generally what people think.
Yeah.
A veteran,
the kind of the role he's occupying. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so I could come around on John Tavares being a Duck.
Patrick, are you in? Are you in on JT?
I would be in just for the intangibles, I suppose, and the winning big faceoffs. I know faceoffs percentage isn't indicative of wins and losses, but there do come times when a faceoff win is necessary. He's not the penalty killer, shutdown guy I would have hoped, or I'm looking for, but I think he does bring elements that the team might need, especially. And then as a third line center, that's, like Edmonton's using Adam Henrique right now. I think that's, not too bad. His foot speed isn't great, but if you got wingers that do have the foot speed, then I think he'll be okay. So I'd be on board with it.
Yeah. I think he's kind of just a bridge option. He's not someone that's really going to grow with the team. This would be kind of his last dance, probably, unless he's got another contract after that. So I think from that standpoint, it's a little harder of a sell because you don't really have that growth potential. But at the same time, he really solidifies the middle just for the time being. I think that the trouble for me is that if they sign him to 2 by 8 or 3 by 8, he will be the second line center. He's not, or he's going to be in the top 6, whether it's first or second line. And so then
that's a good point.
What's going to happen to McTavish? What's going to happen to Zegras? Are they just I mean, I know that like this might not matter anymore without Cronin, but it might still with the position thing. So I don't know, but I do think that just for making the playoffs, for being a better team next season, Tavares is one of the better options for this team, and I think that in 2 years would be fine by me. Okay, let's do two more, maybe even one more. The one that we've all been dreading. Well, some of us, I don't know, maybe all of us.
Aaron
One's that one would be actual dread. This one is a mixed bag for me. Sam Bennett. So Sam Bennett, what is his career high in points? Let me see. Let me just
It's
make sure.
50, I think, right?
I think it's like 53. It's in the 50s. We'll just call it the 50s. So for a career high 50-ish point scorer, he is projected at 6 times 6.6.
51.
51. There you go. Career high 51 points, 6 by 6.6 on cap wages, and then on evolving, he's got a bigger number there at 7 times 7.5. And I kind of feel like that might be more accurate than the 6 by 6. This guy's a really weird player to evaluate for me because like the production is just not there, and I've been told production is what drives contracts, yet I don't understand like how does 50-ish points lead to 7 mil? I don't know. I know we're in a higher cap era, but it still doesn't add up to me. There's been a lot of pushback on this player for various reasons, like all the incidents with him, like punching people, elbowing people, what have you. But is he like really a guy to avoid, or is he misunderstood? Jake, where are you at on him?
A bit of both. I think that the narrative around him is a bit of a misunderstanding. He's a guy where if you look at his underlying numbers, he's much better offensively from a driving play perspective than he is defensively. And that kind of makes sense if you watch him in the way that he plays. I think the going over the line stuff I really dislike, and so I completely understand if people are just like, I'm out. I don't really want that type of guy on our team. I also understand that there are going to be people out there that see that and are like, I want that guy on my team. And that's just the reality.
Could that guy be the one in charge of this team?
It's highly possible, seeing as he's tried to really mimic everything of the Florida Panthers. But regardless of all that, he would be a center. I don't think he's good enough defensively long term to be exactly what Patrick was bringing up of wanting on this team. And so I don't think he really helps out this team long term from a center perspective with the amount of centers that they have on this team, because he doesn't really fill a role that the Ducks have their top 6 guys. And if you're like you said, Felix, about Tavares, if you're paying him this much, he's going to be your second line center. And so I just don't see that making sense. And then also from the perspective of what he's going to get paid for the production from a long-term perspective, because with Tavares, I think that I can bite that bullet because it's a 2-year thing. If it doesn't work out, it's easy to cut bait and you move on. If you're signing Bennett to 7 years, yes, he can help the team, but he's going to get $8+ million on the open market. Like, I have no doubt about that. I know that projection came in at 7. I think in some ways that's going to be a lot lower just because of all of the narratives around him of saying that you have to have that type of guy to win in the playoffs and all of that type of stuff. Toronto, I think, is a team that may go up to 9 even. And they're just going to be teams spending wild amount of money to try to get him, where that is the exact type of situation that you want to avoid. I mean, I think back to David Clarkson's one that comes to mind, where he had that same kind of mantra around him, had scored a career high in goals, and then signed with Toronto, and kind of it wasn't like overpaying those types of guys never works out well for you, basically. And I just don't think that this next Bennett contract's going to be a good one for whoever signs it.
Patrick, you had a comment in our chat the other day about how you just don't think he's good defensively, and I feel like that is a bit of a unique take given the narratives around him. So why don't you expand on that a little bit?
Well, if you look at the way he plays, you're like, this guy is the shutdown center that I've been craving on the team that you can match up. But dig a little deeper, he doesn't kill penalties. He gets the easier matchups because the center is, if he's the middle of the sandwich, the meat in the sandwich, the bread is Barkov and Lundell. So they're getting the tougher matchups. It's kind of the opposite of what we said about Marner, where, he's going to be great in the playoffs, I guess. Great, he'll injure some people and score a bunch of goals, but he'll do that. But I don't know if he helps you get there, and this team needs to get there. This team needs an 82-game player, not the 25-game player that that plays in the spring. And yeah, the way he plays is very reckless, and I don't know what his injury history has been. Up and down, it looks like, but this has been his most productive year at 51 points, 25
That's
goals.
crazy.
Yeah. But his playoff totals are pretty great, like 14 points in 16 games, 14 points in 19 games, 15 in 20 the last 3 years. So if you're getting him because he performs in the playoffs. But again, you have to get there first, and I don't know if he helps you do that. So,
Yeah.
and I don't know how well he'll be insulated if you're throwing him into a role where he has to be the shutdown guy. I don't know. He won't thrive in that role, in my opinion. So you need someone who will. So I understand the desire, and the number's gonna be big, but I would be hesitant.
It's also very hard to, like you brought up the sandwich, which is a fun analogy, but it's hard to disentangle how much of it is him and how much of it is the team and the environment that he's on, because he's been great with the Panthers. Sure, the point production hasn't been awesome, but he's been a great player for them. But it's like, would he do that on a team where, like you said, like he's not sandwiched between great centers, where he kind of actually has to be the bread instead of the meat? I don't know. He could be, but we haven't really seen it for a long time, and his pre Panthers career is very unremarkable. Very unremarkable. Connor, I know you were frustrated a little bit though with some of the pushback on Bennett. If you want to elaborate on that.
Well, I'm out-ish on Bennett because of the money. I don't think that's where as you guys, I'm sure some of you may know, I know Jake and Felix know, I'm a little bit more different. Like there's part of me that does kind of like the way he plays a bit. I'm a little bit more open to something like that, but I'm out-ish on Sam Bennett not for this Brinks truck that they're gonna have to back up. Into the shipping part of Honda. I don't know what the word for that is.
The shipping docks.
Yeah, the shipping dock of Honda Center. I don't know about that, but I'd be a little more open to it if like Patrick was saying, the Ducks were already in a contention situation, because I don't think he's. I'm gonna repeat what Patrick said, but you have to get there first, like we talked about with Marner, and I agree. I don't know if he's the guy that's going to help you necessarily get over the line, because you're getting him to be that playoff guy, to be, that guy in those kind of moments, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And just for that kind of money, I'm just like I can appreciate Sam Bennett, I can appreciate what he does, but just from a logical perspective, I think it's a deal that just can go bad probably a lot quicker than you would want.
Would you do 6 by 6.5? Like just kind of a normal mid contract.
If that's for sure what it was, I would be a lot more open to it. But if we're talking 8, 9, 10, I think give me Mikael Granlund.
Well, yeah, we're not going to talk about him because we're already 45 minutes in. But but yes, Mikael Granlund is the shadow that looms over all of this, because I'm a fan. I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
He's cheaper, and I think he accomplishes what people think Sam Bennett is.
Yeah, I agree. So minus the dirty
stuff.
Sam
Bennett's going to be the fun.
Thanks for talking, Sam, but we're going to go with Mr. Granlund over here.
Yeah, Sam Bennett's going to be the fun player to track after this season for wherever he signs. Just see how that goes. Because
are we sure he just doesn't stay in Florida? Like, why would he leave?
Money.
Well, yeah, I get the money aspect, but he's not going to find a better situation than where he is, like just in terms of his career. And you factor in like the taxes and whatnot. Anyway, this is a draft show. I promise. But I figured this might be a little fun, a little switch up. You know, a little different flavor, a little different texture. That's okay sometimes. But we are a draft show, and so why don't we talk about that? There hasn't really been. I mean, I guess there's been some chatter about maybe James Higgins will go number 1 to the Islanders because he's from there. There's been this and that, but I feel like we're still kind of doing our tour of who the Ducks could draft at number 10. And one player that I know we haven't talked about yet is Carter Bear, unless I'm forgetting that we talked about him. But in terms of just like a little bit of a feature, we haven't talked about him. So I'll throw out some of the basics here, and then everyone else can chime in. But Carter Bear, kind of a speedy, strong skating, high motor, skilled wing. He's listed at center/wing. He's listed at 6 foot, 176, and this year in the WHL for the Everett Silvertips, which, by the way, one of the best jerseys in hockey. Just throwing that out there. One of the best jerseys.
It's very good.
It's very good. Also, the fact that it's a bear and his name is Bear.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's a nice touch. I'm sure they did that for him.
So he's going to Boston.
We're in.
Oh shit, yeah, that would actually be so perfect. Yeah, he's kind of a Bruin too. Anyway, 82 points in 56 games, 40 goals, really strong production, and yet he lacerated his Achilles tendon, which sounds incredibly painful, but it was not a full laceration, and he is already back to skating now. I promise I will not get Caden Lindstrom again this year and get duped by strategic releases of information. But you can't really argue with a guy skating again. Like, that's a pretty big hurdle to cross, and it sounds like he'll be ready for the development camps, which again, like, that's not that far away. That's a couple months away, and so if he was truly really injured, I just don't think that these things could be true. But we don't know that, but that has been the hang up. That has been the thing that's kind of seen him slide down some boards. Patrick, what do you think of Carter Bear? Just in general, Ducks, take it however you want.
So it's hard to not fall in love with Carter Bear when you watch him play. He is the high motor, like so much fun, energetic forechecker. Like he scores a bunch of goals. He's he's unafraid, despite, maybe he's a little slender, skates well. Like, there's a lot to love about Carter Bear. The only thing that concerns me is the production dropped before his injury. I think he had like 3 points in his last like 11 games or something, which also means that he was incredibly productive before that. But, and the only other drawback is, what is he at the NHL level when everyone's going to work hard? If your game is based on I will outwork you, there's a lot of guys that are, that are going to work just as hard as you. That's how they got to the NHL. So, and there is skill there. I'm not trying to say he's not a skillful player. When I see him, I see Dawson Mercer, who's great, and I love Dawson Mercer. But it's like, I don't know how much of a play driver he is. And, but I do love him, but that I understand why he's slipping out of the top 10. So that's my Carter Bear thing.
Okay, interesting. Connor, are you bearing down?
So I still have not watched as much Carter Bear as obviously Patrick, and then I think you, Felix. Like your little breakdown you did the other day was kind of like my first true, like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch him. I wasn't able to watch the entire thing, but
I mean that's fine. Like, you don't have to have this like.
No,
take.
I was eating lunch.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, perfect, because we were just talking. So I was like, great,
Yeah.
I'll munch on this and watch me some Felix. But
As one does. That's what we want. Everyone come on down to the Patreon.
yeah, but like Patrick said, like I think in the first like 6 or 7 shifts on that video you did, the thing that stood out for me, and I think I even mentioned it in our text chat, I was just like, wow, this kid is not afraid of anything. Patrick mentioned the forechecking, and it's so aggressive. It's just so high twitch. It's so good. It's so go. He's really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, I can kind of, on the flip side though, I can understand why he's dropping a little bit. The injury, obviously it's understandable. And then, like how quickly, obviously he came back incredibly quick, and then it's like, okay, like how
it's not a small injury still.
Yeah. It's not a small injury. So it's like, okay, like we were talking about, like, is this like, yeah, he's skating, but it's like, okay, is this like, is he going full speed? Is he just, going for a joyride?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what is the nature of these skates? Like,
like, is he no contact jersey? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it sounds like he's not going to participate in the combine stuff, but again, like Felix said, he should be participating at dev camp, which some teams don't even go on the ice at dev camp. The Ducks do, and it's very low intensity, so we'll see there. But just throwing that in there.
Yeah, he's not about to play like in a playoff game. Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy where, if the Ducks were to take him at 10, I'd be like, okay, like, I could see the vision there, but I still think in my preferred world, I think there's still probably at least 4 or 5 guys I'd be hard set on. Like, okay, like I would want these guys for sure. Well, maybe not 4 or 5. Like, I'd say maybe like.
You're talking about like at 10.
Yeah, at 10. Maybe like 3 or 4 other guys, or if they were available and they took Carter Bear instead, I'd be like, okay, like, what are we doing here? But I could understand the vision. I wouldn't have the pitchforks up.
Yeah, I mean, you both talked about it, and I do think that is the big concern I have with him is like, yes, he is such a dogged forechecker, and what I love about how he forechecks is that it's not, and this is a bit of a spoiler of what I'm about to bring up, but it's not like Brady Martin, where he's just out there to clean people out. He, separating man from puck. He's closing down lanes. Like, it's just efficient. And I do wonder, like you both touched on, is that how much of an edge is he still going to have in the NHL? Because in junior hockey is really, really good. I think that, it's probably better. It's the best it's ever been. But it's still not the NHL, and there's going to be guys with high motors in the NHL. He's not going to have as much of an advantage there, and I think the skill is really good, but it's not high end. It's probably like top 6 caliber, but it's not elite. So what does that make him? Is he Andre Kasha in the NHL? Like what is he going to be? And so that is a little bit of a concern. But on the flip side, I do think that dogged determination that he has guarantees him a floor. Like, it just, if you're willing to work that hard, if you're willing to skate like that, if you take pleasure in doing these things, the NHL is going to be easy in a way, because like that's half the game in the NHL is just being in the right place, filling lanes, skating hard to the puck. Like, he can already do that, and then he's got the skill to layer onto it. I think he can come in and not next year, but he can be a good top 6 player, not necessarily a driver, but just someone who's going to elevate a line. And I'm really excited about this player. But yes, I do hear the upside kind of concerns with him. They're very real. Jake, what are you hearing on Carter Bear? What's your which side are you landing on when this discussion?
What are you shopping for over there?
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. I am going to need to bid the podcast to do. I'm getting texts that Luke is crying and Monica needs help. So
okay,
Luke does not like Carter Bear.
Luke does not like Carter Bear. Okay. I am going to bid.
Are you leaving permanently or temporarily?
We'll see.
Okay, should I? So you're gonna stay in here, like your camera or whatever? Okay.
Yeah, I'm removing myself though from this. So you guys keep going. You know how to end this stream.
No, I do, but I'm just.
Can you put like a little smiley face that you just like crudely drew?
Just put like a bobblehead in your chair. But anyway,
all right, we're keeping him. Okay.
Oh, he actually bounced. Okay. And then there were 3. Okay,
right.
Perfect. We don't need Jake.
We voted Jake off the island.
Okay, so where I wanted to go next with my Carter Bear campaign, Carter Bear versus Brady Martin, because now we're reaching the point where we've talked about at least, I think, 10 players in this draft, and realistically, like, some of them are just not going to be there at 10. Like, Desnoyers is not going to be there at 10. Frundell, no. Martone, no. Like, there's just guys you can cross off the list. But I think that now we can start kind of going a little bit tit for tat of different players. Have we talked about Mrtka on this show? I feel like we've talked about him before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do this really quickly though. Carter Bear versus Brady Martin. Because I'll start with Patrick, because I know you like Brady Martin.
I do like Brady Martin.
Yeah.
And
Who is your guy in between those two?
I would have Martin a little bit ahead.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah, I forget where I ranked them, but Martin's around 10. And it's purely for translatability. And I watched a couple games of him at Sault Ste. Marie, his junior team, but he won me over during the U18s, where he just took over games, and his defensive acumen really stood out, but his vision also. I was surprised at how well he absorbed pressure and found his teammates in soft ice, and even his board to board vision, lateral vision, I guess. So that really stuck out, and I was impressed with him, especially at that tournament. And I mentioned that, like, there aren't a lot of Carter Bears, guys who are built and play like Carter Bear in the NHL. I mean, there are, but the ones that stick out are like Trocheck and, like I said, Dawson Mercer. But there are so many Brady Martins, and I think the floor is just higher for a guy like that. And I look at him, and it's Ross.
So
Colton
you're saying that as like a positive for Martin, as
Yes,
in like it's
yes.
more certain that he can get there. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it's more of a sure thing that he will be a top 9 player in the NHL, in my opinion. And I think his motor's almost as comparable motor, and I just think he absorbs the pressure along the boards a little better, and he's a good net front player, and the Florida Panther effect, like Brady Martin's a Florida Panther, basically, is what I'm saying. He plays like that style.
Interesting. Well, Connor, do you have a side to this debate, or are you still a little neutral?
Yeah, no, I would also. I think Martin would be one of the guys I was talking about earlier. That, if he was there, I would much prefer they take Martin over Carter Bear. Yeah, I mean, kind of what Patrick was saying. To use kind of a more soccer term, I do kind of see that in his game, where he's kind of press proven a little bit.
Ooh, I don't know what that means, but that sounds fancy.
You're good at absorbing pressure.
Okay.
Essentially,
Okay.
you're good under pressure. You don't necessarily always make a bad move when guys are closing in on you. You're good at getting yourself out of that. Yeah, and he's just like, I mean, you guys know me. Martin just has a little bit more mustard.
Mustard and jam.
A little more mustard.
I
A little
love
more
that.
mustard. I like it.
I love how you said that, because I could tell that you were like, you don't want to go too hard on the physicality aspect, but you still kind of let it
He's
out.
got a little more mustard for me.
A little more sauce. I love that. Okay, well, I will have to stick up here for Carter Bear. I will be the dissenter here. So, in what I have seen of Brady Martin, which is not a ton, but I think everyone knows, like, we're not professional scouts here. Like, we're not watching 20.
We're not?
30 games. Well, I'm not. I won't speak for you guys, but I'm not. I actually really wonder about his NHL translate, because who he reminds me of, and this is going to sound terrible, he kind of reminds me of Nick Ritchie a little bit. Like, he just kind of lumbers around the ice sometimes. And I do think, like Patrick said, he has this weirdly really good vision. Like, it's strange because he won't really do anything for like 5 shifts, and then he'll just pull out this like amazing pass, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? But then there's other shifts where he's kind of just like, those plays are more like hope plays that aren't really connecting, which in a way is good because you want to see him, testing his game. But he's just a weird player. Like, I don't really know I have a hard time like imagining him in the NHL because I don't know where it's gonna go with him. Because yeah, he hits guys, he's physical, he's in the right places, but I actually think that Carter Bear's motor is like on a different level than his. Again, I didn't see him at the U18, so maybe that's the missing piece for me. But at least in the OHL, he just, I don't know. I was expecting a bit more of like a meat grinder, and he was just kind of more of like a little bit more of a passive player than what I thought. Like he gets his licks in on the forecheck, but it's more of the hits. It's almost like hitting to hit as opposed to the Carter Bear stuff. I will say though that Brady Martin is really good at getting his stick in lanes. You know, he's got a good active stick both on the forecheck and defensively. Like he can poke the puck away. He lifts guys' sticks. Like he's in the right places, and I think that probably goes to what Patrick is saying about the defensive awareness. But I just see a little bit of a higher floor with Bear. But I don't know. Like we'll see. This will evolve. I will watch more of him, but I'm a little skeptical on Brady Martin as of right now. Okay. Let's do another round of this.
Oh, to answer the question, coffee is what I was shopping for.
Perfect.
Would you say Carter Bear is your Berkeley Catton of this year? Are we not there yet?
I don't really love anyone that much in this draft. I guess I love Bear and I love Higgins. Those are my two kind of like those are my blind spots right now. Like I love those players, and maybe I'm wrong for that. The other guy I want to throw into this mix because I think that he'll be in this conversation at this range is Victor Eklund. So Victor Eklund, it's weird because all these players kind of resemble each other. Like none of them have these like elite tools, and yet they make it work. I'll ask you, Connor, where do you put Victor Eklund in that mix with Bear and Martin?
Well, I think we've talked about it on previous episodes, but I think out of the reasonable options at 10, I think Patrick thinks the same way, but I think Victor Eklund's my number one.
Oh, interesting.
Out of that group of 5 or 6 that most of them should probably be in that grouping. I really love his game. Just everything he does along the boards. Just a really cerebral player as well. Patrick could talk a little bit more in depth on it, but I think.
So you're taking him over both those guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. With a pretty decent bullet, I would say.
Okay, so it's not like a close call for you.
Not so much of a close call. I think after Eklund, I could, those other 3 or 4 guys, I could, I could be convinced, but I think if we're in a situation where it's like Eklund and a few other guys are available at 10 and they pass on Eklund, I'd be pretty annoyed. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Patrick, how does Eklund fit into this little trio of guys for you?
Yeah, so I have Eklund ahead of both as well. Pretty substantially, I would say also, just because he is the things I like about both of the other players, but is also proven in a league against men, and he has a much higher hockey IQ than both of them. I think the plays he makes, the creativity he displays, the processing speed, all of it, but also he's just so electric and shifty, and he's got the puck skills that neither of them do. He's got the shot, that both of them do as well, but the vision, the pace he plays at is, but then he's also got that motor that the other two have as well. And
he does, yeah.
So, if it's a dog off, I'm going with the smart dog.
Dog off. Oh, that's hilarious, man. You guys
Coining a new term.
You guys really brought the one-liners today. Yeah. So I'm a little torn personally because I really like William Eklund, and I totally agree with both of you that he is the most skilled of these 3 by a wide margin. Wide margin. My one concern though is yes, he is the dogliest of the dogs, but he's doing it in Sweden, and it's just a slower, more open game over there, and he could very well, maybe I haven't seen enough in international play, but I feel like it's either going to be one of those things where the NHL will just amplify that and it'll show that this is perfect for him, or it'll be like that advantage will recede a little bit, kind of like we talked about the other guys, and then you're left with a bit more of just the skill, which he has in bunches. And maybe that's the argument to have him above those two, is that, like, yeah, he has the dog in him. We expect that the motor thing is going to probably be less of an advantage in the NHL. He's got the most stuff left over than the other two. I really like his skill. Like, I think one thing that kind of stood out for me watching him a little bit more closely is like he's really good at getting open for shots, which is just not something that I kind of thought of him. I thought of him more as like a playmaker, but he kind of just finds these little pockets of space to get open for one-timers or backdoor plays, and I think that that's a great skill to have because, I mean, we talk about it a bunch, but if you were to like put together all the clips in a game where you have the puck, it would add up to like maybe 3 minutes tops, and you're playing 15 to whatever minutes the rest of the game. So you actually have to be better without the puck than with the puck in some ways, because most of the game you're going to be without it. And for him to have some offense to him where he doesn't have it, I think is encouraging. I don't know. I'm torn between him and Bear, because I think Bear is not as skilled, but he's got me. He's got me. Carter Bear's got me. Yeah, but Victor Eklund's in that mix for sure. Any other prospects that you guys want to touch on? Those were kind of the three that I've been following along, but anyone else that you guys wanted to touch on? I'll throw this one last in for you. Is McQueen over all these guys for you? Like, just erasing the health thing for a second.
Oh, if he's healthy, he's above all of them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But unfortunately, you can't ignore that.
Yeah, you can't.
In the
and
real
that's
world,
the thing.
in the real world, when we get down to it, But
yeah, I do worry a little bit about McQueen, but just regardless of the injury, I just worry a little bit about his skating. But that's probably the right call. I mean, this production, the tools, like, he has stuff that those other guys just don't have. Anyone else you guys wanted to throw into this mix? Any prospects that have been catching your eye, or that you're high on, or maybe that you're down on, that you're out on? Like, let's hear some names.
So I watched a good amount of the U18s, especially Canada, again, because those games are still on ESPN+. The guys that stuck out from this draft, at least in this range, are Braden Coots and Jackson Smith. Now, Jackson Smith is another offensive left-handed defenseman, so I don't know if he's going to be so much on the Ducks' radar, but I think there's you see that raw talent in his game. And he's kind of slipping a little bit because people say he didn't have a good tournament. I disagree. I think he was actually pretty good and kind of had a good two-way tournament. Production wasn't there.
I think they talked about him on the Peters and Robinson pod about how he was kind of okay, I guess, at that tournament.
Yeah, I liked him, but they weren't really impressed with anybody at that tournament. But
everyone's bad in this draft.
Yeah, Braden Coots led Team Canada in scoring and was their captain, right-handed center. Just a kind of prototypical middle six, like JT Comfort, he's just like a guy, but he's definitely serviceable. He's Chandler Stevenson. He's JT Comfort.
Points in 60 games to his credit.
Yeah. So
just a guy. Man.
He does it all, a jack of all trades. But I liked his game.
Sorry, Felix, go ahead.
Oh no, those are some good notes. I mean, I should probably watch a bit of Braden Coots because Verbeek loves just a guy, guys. That is kind of his thing. Talking more about the later first round picks, obviously. I was gonna ask Connor though. You're a big Lyndon Lakovich fan. I know you're the original Lakovich truther. Where do you have Lakovich in this mix, this potpourri of forwards we've just been talking about here? Like, do you have him ahead of Eklund, or where's he at for you?
No, he's certainly not ahead of Eklund, and I think I liked Lakovich a lot more like a few months ago than I do right now. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that's because of his own doing, or me just certainly seeing things where I was like, oh, I didn't notice that. I don't like that. I think there have just been other guys that have come up and kind of gained a little more steam, and like we were talking about earlier, trying to figure out who's probably going to be around that range. I think there's just a couple other people I think I'd prefer now. We've already all kind of talked about your Victor Eklunds, your Brady Martins. I know we talked about them. Your Jake O'Briens. I think I would rather have Mrtka on there. I actually had a question for Patrick about Mrtka, but I can ask after this. But a little lower on Lakovic, I would say. I don't think I'd be upset at a Lakovic pick, but
he's just fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
he doesn't excite for some reason.
Yeah, not exciting. So, I mean, the first half of his year, I think he was looking really good and showing a lot more, and then I think he just kind of not fell by the wayside, but I think he just kind of leveled out a little bit, was maybe the way to put it. Yeah, but and I know Felix, I think on an early edition of this pod, I think you kind of said he kind of reminds you of Cutter Gauthier a little bit.
College Cutter Gauthier, to be fair.
College Cutter Gauthier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Not NHL. Yeah, I want to amend that take.
I knew there was a discrepancy there. Where
you
can kind of float around a little bit, but it's like, it's like we talked about with Gauthier at that time. It's like how much of that floating is just because he's really good at that level and he can just kind of afford to do that.
Yeah. It's so hard to so hard to say with these guys. Like that's anyway. I was gonna say something about Brady Martin, but we should continue. It's just hard to assess like how much of it is this guy's just playing to his level because he's not in the NHL right now, so he doesn't have to do the NHL stuff. Versus that's what he is, and like with Cutter Gauthier in Boston, he didn't have to do the NHL stuff because he would still score a hat trick no matter what. Then he got to the NHL, and now he's great, and it's like. Is like I guess is that hard? Is that a hard thing? Like is that rare? Is that an exception? I don't know, but that is the secret sauce to watching these players is like, what are they going to look like?
So with Lakovic, I'm just going to add that the tools are there. Like if you just watched him play hockey, I think he's top. I don't know, probably top 5 talent. Like he's got an insane shot. The skating's great. He's tall. He scored a lot on by far the worst team in the WHL. The Moose Jaw Warriors had 38 points in 68 games. Like they were a horrific team, and he was still. I'm looking for his stats here, but well over a point per game, and he captained that team. So 58 points in 47 games. So you have to take kind of that with a grain of salt, I think, too. Just like judging by his situation. I love his tools, though. The details aren't there for me. But if you're just looking for a raw player, like you'd be hard pressed to find a better talent than him.
He's 6'4". He's an inch shorter than Roger McQueen, and he doesn't get the unicorn buzz, but he's up there tools wise. Connor, you had something on Mrtka you want to touch on?
Yeah, I kind of want to get Patrick. I want to ask Patrick where, probably three-ish weeks since we last did this. Or have you changed on Mrtka? You still kind of the same?
Where's he at in the 10th overall mix for you?
And asking that because I feel like I haven't heard you mention him in a couple weeks. So just kind of
he dipped a bit for me. I don't love his pace for a guy that's 6'6". He doesn't play. He has no jam. All jelly, no jam.
No mustard.
Yeah. So I question the hockey IQ as well, the decision making with the puck. He just disappears, and for a guy that big, you can't disappear. You have to dominate. You have to at least make your presence felt. So I'm much lower on Mrtka. He's still got the tools, I think. He still can skate. It's just I question the compete level, I suppose. Even though I don't like questioning guys' compete level. That's not really fair. But
it's just like you can sort of evaluate it objectively.
Yeah.
Where it's like I don't know if you've seen this, but like teams do this thing where like because of the tracking data they have, like the Habs do this thing where like there's a player that'll win an award for like the month, where they lead in like stick checks and like body contact or whatever. Like they track these stats, and so it's like I know you're not trying to question their compete level, like how much they care, but we can at least somewhat evaluate it just from the outside.
So in a tournament where he was by far the best player on his team, I don't think he took over games and really showed it. But if you mind, a guy that I'm interested in to see where he goes, because he can, in my opinion, he can go anywhere from like 7 to 15, and that's Kashan Aitchison.
Yes.
He scored a ton of goals last season. He hits to hurt, they like to say. He's this year's Steven Solberg, maybe. But I understand why teams would fall in love with him. Have any of you guys watched this guy?
I have not seen a ton of them, so I can't really say. But yeah, the production is crazy for a defenseman. 26 goals and a pretty solid playoff run too. 12 points in 16 games for Barry. Plays that physical style. But he is a left shot, so
yeah,
not
really in the Ducks range. But
I don't think it's a fit here. But
well, it's interesting because in the mock draft that Elite Prospects put up today, they had him going 8th, and this was like a predictor type mock draft. So he might be gone before he ever gets to the Ducks, which would be interesting.
Yeah. And like we said earlier, this could be the Brady Martin Panthers effect. Like they see what works in the playoffs, and they're like, we need a guy that plays like this. But he's mean, and he's a pest too. Like he's just annoying to play against in all regards. So I'd be interested to follow where he goes. But again, not on the Ducks' radar. Just an interesting player.
Yeah,
more defensemen always go in the top 10 than usually predicted. So it wouldn't surprise me.
And if he does go high, that means another good forward is going to drop to 10. So that's kind of, I think, where we're all kind of hoping the Ducks go anyway.
I'm looking at this mock draft, and I'll just rally it off here. But Michael Misa, number 1, so already a jaw dropper at number 1. Schaefer at 2, Martone at 3 to Chicago, Frundell at 4 to Utah, which is what I said. Desnoyers to Nashville, which I think. Which one of you was Nashville in our last mock draft? It doesn't matter, but I think we had him there.
I have no recollection.
Hagen's at 6.
Wasn't it Jake?
It might have been.
Jake?
But then,
because I had no idea how to pronounce it.
But then Brady Martin at 7, and then Aitchison at 8. So there you go. There's your Florida Panthers effect, and then
who were 9 and 10? Okay, you were on.
Mrtka at 9. So you get excited here. Number 10, Roger McQueen to the Ducks.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like part of this is just the fact that the Ducks, it feels like they can kind of do anything here because of how well stocked they are. But yeah, I mean, if the board shakes out that way, where you have Martin and Aitchison in the top 10, the Ducks are. Oh no, if you have Mrtka, Aitchison, and Martin go in the top 10 before the Ducks, so in the top 9. You're basically guaranteed one of Eklund, McQueen, O'Brien, Bear. Like this board could shake out really well for the Ducks. Like they could almost do no wrong at that point if at 10 overall.
Yeah,
so
it's a pick of the litter situation if you're right there.
Yeah, and McQueen is risky with his back, but the reward could be very, very high. Well, we're getting up there in time, so Jake, do you want to do a quick round of questions, or what do you want to do?
Sure, we have 2 in Discord, so let's just hit those and then we'll get on out of here. So, O'Lally, this is from our Patreon exclusive Discord. Go to patreon.com/crashthepond to subscribe and get access to the Discord. O'Lally17 asks, would you do Tristan Luneau, 10th overall, and lottery protected first next year for David Pastrnak if Boston was willing?
Tristan Luneau, a first, and who?
10th overall this year and a lottery protected first next year.
2 firsts and Tristan Luneau. Okay.
What's the protection on that?
Would it take that though? Is that an overpay?
Just lottery protection. So I guess let's just go top 10. Top 10. So top 10, top 15.
I think I probably would. Is that bad?
No, I would. But again, I don't, like Felix was just hinting at, I don't know if it'll cost that much because he has full protection, trade protection.
That's
so
right. He does. That's right.
You can kind of choose where you go.
Yeah.
Right. So he has to want to come. So that would essentially narrow down his destinations.
Did Verbeek make the long play by signing Gudas to get David Pastrnak?
Well, they've got Dostal too.
Exactly.
So all the checks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pasternak he just turned 29, actually 2 days ago. So happy birthday, David. Oh man, I'm trying to stay within the four corners of this hypothetical here. That kind of feels like a lot. Am I crazy? For his age, the age thing is kind of what gets me.
Signed though for many years.
Yeah.
He scores a lot of goals.
60
scores
goals
a-
for, yeah.
He scores a lot of goals.
That contract's up in 31.
Two firsts and a second basically is what
Yeah,
it ends up.
But Tristan Luneau could be a second pairing defenseman though. Come on.
Yeah.
You do that.
Mystery box.
We have, other darts, we have other darts to throw on the blue line though. That's why I'm kind of like.
Yeah, Ian
That's why
Moore.
I think I'd end up being okay with it. I think that's one of the trades where you're like, but then you just kind of have to be like, yeah, we have to.
Well, that's how you know that it's probably the right value.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like it shouldn't be comfortable. Like it shouldn't be
Yeah, it's gonna sting. A bit.
I'm
But-
actually less. There's not one piece in there that has me really concerned. It's the totality of it. It just feels like a lot. But if it's the fifth, so lottery protection is what, 14?
Sure.
14? If the Ducks have like the 16th overall pick, or I guess 15th overall next year,
They could choose to give that one up.
yeah, I mean that's not the end of the world. 10th
15,
overall.
10 and Tristan Luneau.
Yeah,
You do
10
that.
this year is a decent player, but I honestly think that if you put all this together, you might still not get as much value as you're going to get from David Pasternak for the next 5 years. So
Yep.
for that
All right.
reason, I'm in.
All right.
right the wrong of 2014.
All right. 2 questions from Brad. If money was not an object, who would your top 3 free agent pickups be?
Oh, money is
Okay.
no
Marner.
Marner.
Ehlers, Rasmus Anderson.
I guess we kind of tipped our hand early in the show.
So I think we all agree on Marner and Ehlers. Who would be the third? I think-
Granlund.
Connor, you said Rasmus Anderson.
Yeah, I said Anderson just so it wasn't 3 forwards, but
He's not a free agent.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah.
oh,
He was on the trade board, I think was where that came
Oh,
from.
I don't know why I thought he was a free
Yeah,
agent.
yeah. Granlund, I think would be a good one.
I want
No,
to say
no one's gonna
Granlund.
say Aaron Ekblad.
No, hell no.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't want an MMA fighter. I don't want an MMA fighter on the team.
I'm all right.
You-
The flying elbows, like what is that? Like
where did this come from? Also
like
from him.
I'm so baffled by that. Like he's out there to elbow people in the head. It is so obvious, and people are celebrating it. It's sad. If money was no object, I do like Tavares. I do like him a lot. And if I don't have to care what it'll cost,
Matt Duchene. Lou mentions in our Twitch chat.
we didn't talk about Duchene.
I think it feels like he's just gonna stay in Dallas. Is why.
Well,
I'm-
yeah, because he loves country music, but I mean, honestly, like that's anyway.
What's funny is that's like actually like a real like
Yeah, it's
Like,
like that. That's
like that's not like we're not joking.
like, have you heard him like play the guitar and stuff? He's like,
yeah, he's actually really good.
he's really good. Yeah, like that's. I don't want to say that his whole personality is a pejorative, but like that's his thing. Like he's a country guy from Ontario, but you know whatever. But he was really good for the Stars this year. Like
Yeah.
offensively really good. I just question if like that's kind of like a bit of a redundant piece for this team. And also there's the Stars effect. Like how much of that is him? How much of that is the team? I question that a bit. So yeah, it's probably Ehlers, Marner, and Granlund. I just love Mikael Granlund. I don't even know
All
what
right.
his stats are. Maybe I shouldn't look. It'll ruin it for me.
Duchene just doesn't really get me like super fired up.
Yeah.
all right. This is a quote. Oh,
I
this
also,
was
can I chime in real quick?
Sure.
I also hate that he chose to go back to that Bauer helmet, that 4500. It's like barely a helmet. It's just a piece of plastic with some foam.
I've always liked the look of that helmet. It reminds me of Getzlaff.
I don't think it's like fake with him. Like it's not like he started out with the Reebok helmet, which made sense. That was the era. He was like all Reeboked out. And like in 2018 or whatever, he went back to, like, it just
That's right.
earn it.
He was like the Reebok guy with the white skates.
Yes,
with the pumps,
and it looked great. It was a great look for him. But then he did this like Bauer helmet thing, and it's like, dude, you're just trying to like play the part. Like, this isn't genuine, and I don't respect that.
Was he one of the dudes that was rocking the Reebok stick with the holes in it?
I think he did have the O
Was he
stick.
one of those guys?
Yeah, the black one, not the Datsuk green one. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame because he's had some good looks, and that is just not one of them. So, like,
more white skates. Bring back white skates.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
It's weird because goalie skates have white skates all over the place. Like, some of them are like all white. Like, even the toe cap is white. But for whatever reason.
Do you remember how Gauthier wore the tacks to begin the season and then went away from them?
Did he?
I'm wondering why.
Did he really?
Those tacks were such a good look to start the season. I'm wondering if it's because he didn't score. He didn't score for like what 15 games.
Well, they were like a new. Sometimes guys will just wear the like newest model, just cause it's like the manufacturer sent it to them.
Well, because I don't think there's been that many players that wore those skates throughout the entire season though, and that was a really good looking skate.
I think Celebrini might have.
I think Macklin did.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Those skates were definitely marketing. I see guys wearing those at the rink, and I'm like,
I like them.
All
right,
that's a lot of money.
This was definitely. This is a question that was meant for me to rank, but I'm going to put it back to all of you guys and let you guys do it. How do you rank the following for the Ducks? Bear, Eklund, Martin, McQueen, Mrtka.
Oh, okay.
I'll let each of you go. So, Connor, you want to go first?
Oh, we each have to do it.
Wait.
Bear, Eklund, Martin, McQueen, Mrtka. From best for the Ducks to worst for the Ducks.
I have no idea why I feel like I have to write it down.
Yeah.
Look at
it in the chat,
or look at Discord under podcast questions.
Look at podcast questions in Discord.
Okay.
Felix, you want to go first then?
Don't put me on the spot like that. Okay, number one, Carter Bear. Don't care. Long hair, don't bear. Carter Bear, number one. Number two, Victor Eklund. Again, don't care. Number three, Roger McQueen. This is now tough. I'll go Martin 5 and then Mrtka last. That's my list. I think I actually ranked it. I almost ranked it exactly how I wrote it out.
Yeah.
I'll go Eklund. Starting from the top, obviously. I'll go Eklund, Martin. I'd be cool taking the gamble. So I'll go Eklund, Martin, McQueen, Bear, Mrtka.
That was mine. That was my order.
Oh, there we go.
Same.
Okay. I'll go with Eklund, McQueen, Martin, Bear, Mrtka.
Wow. Right. Brady Martin had a Carter Bear? I feel
Jake's
betrayed.
Like Schaefer, Hagen,
I feel betrayed.
Yeah.
I feel betrayed. Okay. Should we do a YouTube or no? No YouTube questions?
No, there aren't any questions, and we're almost at an hour and a half.
I just want to throw this.
Logan says you need a gear channel in Discord, Felix.
I mean, I was gonna throw in this little tidbit. I'll just say it now. So I was at a beer league game on Friday, and I noticed one of my teammates had these two. You guys know the Bauer Hyperlight stick? Yeah. It's like a really flashy graphic, and it was all teal, so it like caught my eye because it was clear it was from like a shark sale. And I looked at the name bar, and it was Vlasic, and I was like, oh crap, like you have Vlasic sticks. And he's like, yeah. So I go to pick it up, and it weighed it was like a brick. It was so heavy.
Really?
And I was like, this is not a Hyperlight. Like, this is just something else because it's just hilarious to like, cause I know that it's a thing where players have a different graphic, but like he is using something from like 15 years ago. Like that must've been like 450 grams, 470 grams. I just don't, I don't understand it. Like I get that he's a defenseman and he's old school, but I don't know how you play with that. That's I mean, what the hell do I know? I'm a fucking beer leaguer, but
if you go on like pro stock hockey, you'll see like It's this stick dressed up as this
Yeah.
other stick, this
Yeah.
newer stick. But
Yeah.
the hockey players are just creatures of habit. Like if you go to the Ducks locker room and Killorn's elbow pads look like they're from 2005, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Getzlaf always wore those like white ones that were
The
from,
Sherwood.
Like,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, my dad has those. Like that. I mean, like he was using that in the NHL. It's just insane. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of shocking that he never broke more bones than he did. Because did he break an orbital? Like at practice.
He
once?
did. He
Yeah.
did. I think it was in a game, not in practice. Gear Geek is saying that it's a hype. Oh no, this I think is just the wrapping on it. They don't have the actual stick.
Well, yeah, Gear Geek is like I have issues with that site because it's like it's anyway. But I held the stick and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this weighs what my stick weighed in like 2009. Like this just I don't get it. But defenseman, veteran in the NHL. Also, it was like 105 flex, which is just crazy.
That's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I use like 70. So,
I have a quick question for Felix.
oh, sure,
How does it feel to be a law school graduate?
feels good. Feels good. I've been asked this a few times now, so
Congrats,
maybe my
man.
answer is a bit rehearsed. but
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank
congrats,
you.
dude.
Thank you. It feels good. My reward is to be locked up in the library studying for the bar, but that's fine. That's fine.
That's what you signed up
good.
for.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was aware of this.
This was
I
this
knew-
case, yeah.
When I signed the contract, I was aware this is one of the terms. But yeah, thanks guys, appreciate you, and appreciate everyone who's listened throughout these last 3 years and who's supported the Patreon because it's helped get me through. So appreciate you all. Mike saying, how do I feel about Easton helmets? I don't think Easton ever made a helmet that looked good. Is that a bad take?
Yeah,
Easton
I
and Warrior
liked
never
the way
did.
it looked. No.
Like remember
Warrior
the one
never did.
Kessler, the one Kessler had like everybody wore.
I
Ugly,
think Getzlaf
ugly
wore
helmet.
one for like a year, and then he just went back to the 4500.
Oh, that's right. Getzlaf had a really weird like Easton flirtation era.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot Getzlaf in the Warrior helmet. That was a rough look.
The Warrior
That
helmets were
Warrior
real
helmet's
bad.
awful.
Yeah.
Such a bad one.
Getzlaf is one of those players where it's like he only looks right in one helmet, and it's like if
4500
Crosby,
maybe?
it's like if Crosby were to change helmets, like it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Did he ever wear what was that helmet that had the M on the front, or was it
Mission?
the three
Messier?
eyes? No, it wasn't Mission. It was like three eyes.
Messier. Yeah, it was the M11.
The M11. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
That one. I think Getzlaf wore that. I know Fowler wore it after he got his concussion early in his career. I feel like a lot of guys went to that helmet when they got concussions.
Yeah.
They looked bad, though. Not a good looking helmet.
Really? I feel like you would like it.
No.
I feel like you liked the Mission helmet.
The
Am I
Mission,
wrong about? Well, the
No.
one that everyone liked, obviously not like the one Anson Carter wore.
Mission helmet. I don't know if I have a Mission helmet take.
Okay, that's fine.
I just Googled a picture of the M11 because I kind of forgot what it looked like, and the third picture is a picture of Andy McDonald wearing it.
Yeah, it's funny how some teams like they just get little pockets of gear. Like one guy wears it and then a bunch of other guys try it out. Man, now we're totally on a tangent, but Getzlaf's stick in his final game is still one of the coolest things ever. That special stick they made for him, the Warrior stick, it was like orange and black. Very, very good. Okay. We should probably wrap it up. I'm sensing Jake is ready to
I'm tired.
pull the plug here. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. This was great. This was fun. We had a blast. Hope you did too. If you want to support the show, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/crashthepond. Go check that out. Follow everyone here on Twitter. The links will be in the description. And subscribe to us on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube. And with that, we will talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Bye.